You ready?
So keep in mind, if you're going to have your mic like that,
Mm-hmm.
you can't be looking at me too much, eh?
I know. I'm gonna be talking like this. And then when I'm ready to talk, I'll talk like this. I'm gonna be self-aware. I'm working my self-awareness.
You're already looking away from your mic.
I'm working on being self-aware. It is 9:54 a.m. August something. What day is it?
August 14th,
August 14th?
2022.
Oh. Happy Sunday and welcome back to this Thing of Ours podcast.
Where we talk about all of life's highs and lows.
And everything in between. The weather this weekend was absolutely beautiful. Yes, it was.
A nice change from what we've been getting for the past few weekends.
Yeah, like tornado watches.
Thunderstorms, rain, cloudy, all those things.
Definitely.
It's been very sunny, very nice, but not too hot.
No, I think this is like the perfect weather. Like, you know, when it gets close to the end of summer and you just start feeling more cool instead of like really bad humidity throughout the summer. It's like that, I feel like. You know what I have been noticing though, and I don't know why I never picked this up, but like when I was a child, but I've been noticing that there's a lot of bees. And I feel like bee season is around this time, like August, September. Because I remember when I was in elementary school and I had to like go across the street for the school bus, there was always bees. And I always wondered, like, why is there always like so much bees around August and September? Like, are they just gathering it up, like the last pieces for their hibernation or whatever they go through?
Yeah,
like,
that probably is what it is. Because I do remember, and for me at school, it was always the wasps. The wasps would like, you couldn't throw anything into the garbage that was outside.
Yeah.
Because you just get swarmed.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and there's always so many bees around the garbage too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's what I mean. As soon as you throw something in, like a bunch of them would like fly out of the garbage and start like trying to chase you.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess it is this time of year. They're just prepping for winter, right? So they're getting their last little bits in.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys ready for fall? You know what I really want to try? What is it? Pumpkin spice latte or pumpkin spice whatever it is, coffee.
You never tried that before?
I've never tried pumpkin spice before. Never even tried the tea. Never tried anything. But I always hear like memes going around being like, "Oh yeah, it's pumpkin spice season," and I've never had it.
Yeah, that's a very controversial topic. I feel like some people really like it, and some people are like totally against it.
Have you guys ever tried pumpkin spice?
Yeah.
You have?
I have.
Oh.
Yeah, I've tried pumpkin spice lattes. I don't even know what else they make, but yes, I tried the lattes.
Okay.
And they're decent. I mean, it's not something I can drink all the time, but once in a while, once every year, get a couple of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
It's a nice little added flavor, I find.
Well, I think when September hits, I'm going to, or like whenever they bring back pumpkin spice, I'm going to go to Starbucks and I'm going to try theirs. Because I feel like everyone always talks about the one from Starbucks. So that's the one I really want to try. Yeah. So how was your work week? Let us know in the comments below. How was your work week, Curtis?
I don't know. Something happened. I'm not going to explain the whole scenario, but I definitely had to hold back what I truly wanted to say. You know what I mean? Has that ever happened to you guys where like you're actually in public and someone says something, someone does something, and not necessarily just in public, but like in a place where you have to present yourself a certain way and you can't because you risk getting fired. You risk, like even if you don't get fired, your boss is just going to make your life a living hell basically for however long he chooses because you said something he didn't like or she didn't like. Like you have to hold yourself back and you can't be your authentic self. You know what I mean? And that actually happened just the other day. And I was thinking to myself, like, how often we actually have to hold back and be someone we're kind of not when we're in public or in different scenarios, right?
Didn't we mention that in the previous podcast quickly? Pretty
Yeah,
sure we talked about
we
that a little
did. We
bit.
talked about being our authentic selves around each other,
Hmm.
right? So if you haven't seen last week's episode, we'll put a short little sneak peek right here.
Of what you missed.
Yes.
That's my part.
All right, here we go. Like when we go into public, society almost makes us put on a mask and be someone we're not. Like when we're out in public or when we're at work, like we have to kind of tone it down a bit for society,
Mhm.
right? Like we have to but yeah, so that's just a quick little preview of our last week's episode where we talked about different things that have kind of strengthened our relationship over the years. And one thing was being able to just be ourselves around each other, right? We don't have to kind of pretend to be someone we're not. And I feel like that's actually very important in a relationship, um, to continue the relationship long term, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like it actually has a lot to do with life in general.
Yes, it does. I think it all starts really truly from when you're small. So, like, that saying how like kids say the darndest things or whatever that saying is.
Hmm.
I feel like that's where it comes from. Like from the time you're born, I want to say up to age probably 8 or 9. Like when you're talking to an adult, not to another
Yeah.
kid. 'Cause I feel like when you're talking to another kid and you say something like that, it's looked at as rude, like you're bullying that other kid. But when you say it to like an adult, it's almost take that as like, oh, you're just a kid and you're saying funny things, or
Yeah.
wow, this kid's really outspoken.
Like
You
the
know?
adult might say like, you shouldn't say those things, but
Yeah.
they don't necessarily get in trouble for it. And it's
Hmm.
like people accept that you're a kid and you don't know any better, sort
Yeah.
of thing, right?
Yeah, and you're also looked at as almost like brave for doing like things that adult wouldn't do
Yeah.
or is too afraid to do. And I feel like when you get to high school, the teen years, and you say something, that is when you're looked at as being rude, or you may be looked at still as outspoken. Like this person's very honest, she's outspoken, but as soon as you, but I feel like it can come across more as being rude as a teenager,
Yeah.
and then when you get to an adult, that's no longer cute. Like
Yeah.
you have to almost hold back, I think, from saying how you really feel or being yourself. Definitely in society, because over time as you grow up, you society starts to shape you. I feel like over time we just start playing that role.
Yeah.
And I feel like in life, that's what we're really doing. We're just playing a role a lot of the times. But there are some times where you feel like you can be yourself, but when you are in public, it's different. In
It
public, you're playing a role. But when you're home with people who have no choice but to love you, like your family, I feel like that's when I think you can be yourself. Like some people I've met over the years, they are really and truly themselves. Like, they're goofy, they're funny, and they're very outspoken, and people they kind of just go through life like that, I think. But then there's other people where it's looked at as you shouldn't be saying those things. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you're an adult now. And definitely I think when you hit a certain age, like 30, there's just some things that you just can't say at all. And there's just a way you have to present yourself as an adult now. And all those the rudeness, the outspoken self that's not done in a polite way, I feel like that's over and you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think it really starts when you're small.
No, it definitely does start from when you're small. Um, like I was kind of mentioning, like kids are told,
Hmm.
you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't say that, it's not nice. So, like, over the years, as we keep hearing these things, we, I guess, have to be more conscious of what we're saying and what we're
Yeah.
doing in public, or towards other people. We aren't able to be honest anymore. We're not able to be who we truly are and say how we truly feel because we're always in the back of our mind, oh, can I actually say this? Is this okay to say this?
Hmm.
And like you said, we're shaped into living by societal standards,
Hmm.
basically, right? What is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not even only what we say, it's what we do and how we act. Like
Mhm.
when you're a kid, right? You don't have like you have very little shame, right? You will do whatever you want. Your imagination is running wild,
Yeah.
and you just you just live life. You're happy, and you yeah, I don't know. It's totally different from when you're an adult. Like kids will, build tree houses and act like it's an actual house, and they're not ashamed about it.
Yeah.
Right? They have like the smallest little thing, little pet rocks, like little things like that. Like, but they're not ashamed of anything. Like they
Mhm.
just are truly themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're not afraid at
No.
all. Like, do you remember that time when I was trying to jump off? I think it was like 20 feet. Um, this dock, you had to jump to like
Oh,
the big beanbag. So
yeah,
we went to
yeah.
Blue Mountain, which is like a ski resort, but I went in the summertime. And there was this activity where you can jump off like different levels of height, and you would
Onto
have to
like
a big
airbag
yeah,
sort of
it
thing.
was just a bag full of air,
Yeah.
right? And you had to land a certain way, and I was so afraid to jump off the dock. Like I was freaking out. And then there was like these other kids who were like probably like 8, 9,
Yeah.
whatever, and they were just jumping off doing flips. And then I remember one time, I think it was probably at like the 20 feet. I was at the highest one, and I was looking down and I was shaking. And then the kids behind me were waiting for me to jump because they wanted to go next. And they're like, "It's okay. You can do it. Don't be afraid." And I'm like, these 8-year-olds are telling me, "Don't be afraid. If I break my leg, I'm supposed to go into work."
Yeah. No, it's true. Like they're really not scared to just be themselves and try things, and you know,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's very different as we grow up,
Yeah.
right? And we can't be ourselves. Like we were talking about well, I mentioned in our previous podcast how you like being weird sometimes, especially around me.
You keep saying I'm weird.
Yes. But anyway, like we're all weird
Mhm.
in our own sort of way, right? But in public, we have to hold that back.
Gotta
Tone it
tone it
down.
down a little bit, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
we do.
relax
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah. But most importantly, I also think it's how you say things
Yeah.
too, because sometimes I'll say something and someone else will take it a whole different way. But in my head, I was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
That is true too. Like sometimes you will say how you feel and you don't mean it in a rude way at all. But I guess maybe if you're saying it to the wrong person that's been told this before in
Mhm.
rude ways, that's just how they're going to take it.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to take things their own way. Like you can say it to a group of people. One person's going to take it a certain way, the other person might be like, whatever,
Yeah.
and just shrug it off. But I feel like that's why we almost are forced to be more cautious in public.
We can't really say what's on our mind all the time. And it's funny because one of my managers a couple months back was like, if we all said how we feel, there'd be nothing wrong in society. I don't know about that
Hey,
part, but um he was like, I would never get offended. It's funny because I said to him, I think you're weird, but you're a cool person. And then he looked at me and he started laughing because I guess he didn't expect me to say
to
that.
actually say how you felt.
Yeah. And he just started laughing. He was like, oh, okay. But in my head, I'm like, well, now how is he taking that? That I
Yeah.
actually said that to him.
He said he wasn't going to be offended, but now he's thinking like, am I weird?
Yeah.
Does she think I'm really weird? Like now he's going to actually replay that in his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It is true though. Like I kind of do agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
If like you just said how we almost have to be that way, but if literally everyone was just themselves, that would be societal standards. Like everyone would be allowed to just be themselves, but for some reason we've shaped it in a way that we can't be.
Because there's right and then there's wrong. And, there are some people.
But who makes right and wrong? Who tells us what's right and wrong?
I don't know. It's just something you do, when you're small now. I don't want to hurt your feelings, so I don't say something because I think it's important that I care about how you feel. So it's
Yes.
like, why would I say something mean?
But in that sense, if you truly cared about the person, you would tell them the truth of how you feel, and then they can take it as constructive criticism rather than being offended by it, right? It's all really in how people perceive what you're saying. Are they going to be offended by it, or are they going to use it to improve themselves,
Hmm.
right? So I feel like if we were actually honest and told people how we actually felt, it would actually benefit society. I truly believe that.
I don't think so. I
No?
don't. I think that would. I think a whole hell would break loose if
Well,
people
yeah.
were able to say whatever they thought on their mind. I know there is such thing as free speech, but I think there's something called a limit on free speech. I really do,
Yeah, yeah.
because if there was no limit, people would be saying all crazy things to everybody, and it just wouldn't work out. I don't see it being like that. You cannot say certain things in public, and you just can't say certain things to certain people. You just can't.
I do get that from certain aspects. If the person is truly being rude and offensive, then yes, that is not okay. But if you're coming from a place of love and a place of respect, and you're telling the person honestly how you truly feel or
Mhm.
what they did, then that's when it should be okay to say how you really feel without
Oh, okay. So you're
trying.
so
Yeah.
you're saying that, let's say I said something rude. You're saying it's okay to fact check me.
Hmm.
Okay, then yes. I thought you were saying like it's okay to say whatever comes to your mind and be rude to whoever
No,
or say
no.
whatever. Because then I was like, no, because hell would break loose, and you can
Yeah.
see on Earth what's happening. People already, with their fast typing hands,
Oh man.
like how fast people can say whatever they want on the internet.
Yeah.
So if people were really able to say how they felt and not hide behind the keyboard, which some people are not afraid to say how they really feel in
Yeah.
person, then I think hell would break loose. I do, because
Yeah.
it's too much. It
Yeah.
really is too much.
Yeah. No, you are right. There has to be some sort of line where it's like, if you're doing it to help the other person,
Hmm.
because if you are holding back just out of the fear of hurting their feelings,
Hmm.
then you're not really helping that person. And if
Yeah.
you truly care about them, you should be able to tell them how you feel. That way they can work on it, right? But if you're doing it to literally be offensive and to degrade the other person and whatever other words you want to add on to that, I think that is wrong. Yes. So I guess there is technically actual right and wrong.
Yes, there has to be filters.
Yeah.
Free speech doesn't mean you can just say whatever the crap comes to your mind. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no. I don't even know if free speech is still a thing. Is going to still be a thing in the future, but
Honestly,
let's not go there because that's a conspiracy theory. I don't know. I personally think that free speech is not really free speech. It's just, you could say what comes to your mind, yes, but it has to be filtered.
yeah.
And you just have to be careful with what you say, and
And how you say it.
and how you say it. You do.
Yeah.
Like we live in a different era now, and it is what it is. Like you have to be consciously aware of how another person's going to feel when you say something.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like there's been times where, yes, I've said something that comes to my mind, and I randomly just blurt it out, and then in the moment, someone might not say it was wrong, but then I think about what I just said, and I'm like, oh, I may have offended someone. So then, like, I might go back. Not might. I usually would go back and be like, did I offend you? And they'll say
Yeah.
yes or no, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't mean it in that way.
Hmm.
You know?
You know, it's funny though, how you were just saying you went back. Um, Remember when I brought you coffee to work the one day?
Oh yeah.
And
Someone thought you were this good
yeah, so
person.
I handed off the coffee to another worker there,
Mm.
lady that works at the front, and she thought I worked for like Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats, right? So she didn't know that we were actually together. That was the first time she's seen me,
Mm.
and then she went back. I don't know. You tell the story because it happened to you.
Well, no, she just told me over time that she was thinking about it and
Mhm.
she apologized. She's like, I just didn't know that was your boyfriend. I thought he was just delivering coffee. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's okay. And in my head, I didn't think anything of it. Like, I really didn't. She just handed me, like, the coffee. And was like, oh, like, here's your coffee. It got delivered. And I was like, oh, did he wait? And she was like, oh, I thought he was just the delivery man. I'm like, oh, that's okay. And I kind of just like walked away. Well, that's how I took it in my mind. Like I kind of just said, oh, okay. But I guess from her point of view, I guess she thought I was mad
Mhm.
that she took the coffee or she thought you're a delivery person. I don't know why, but it didn't come across my mind as anything else. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
like
then that was
weeks
really
went
it.
by, right? Like weeks went by, and
Yeah, she was still thinking about it. And then she came up to me and she apologized. And I was like, huh? Oh, I didn't take anything like that didn't offend me or anything like that.
yeah,
I didn't think anything more of it. I was just drinking my coffee.
yeah,
I was just happy I got my coffee. That was the only thing that came across my mind.
yeah,
So it's crazy how like our brain kind of tricks us into thinking that we offended someone or thinking makes us think of a different story than what
yeah.
actually happened. And I constantly think that that happens every single day.
Oh yeah,
Like I'm like right now, I'm sitting here talking about, are we keeping it real on this podcast? And then at the same time, you guys are watching us. I don't know what you guys are thinking,
yeah,
but you may perceive us as a different version from how your brain is thinking that we are
yeah,
in real life but I would like to think that I'm getting more comfortable with being myself. But I think
mhm.
over time, as you like at work, right, over time as you are constantly being around the same people, your true self will show
Yeah.
eventually.
Mhm.
So
You may still hold back a couple little things,
mhm,
but the whole shyness and the cautiousness will subside a little bit
yeah,
over time, right? And you'll be able to be a little bit more like your authentic self
yeah,
over time. But yeah, no, it is crazy. I wanted to bring up that story because you never know how people are perceiving things, and when you said something, you always question like, oh, did I say that rudely? Like, how did they take it? And did I offend them? Or did I sound weird? Or like
mhm,
things always run through our head like, what how did that scenario actually play out to the other person? Did they take it how I really wanted them to take it?
yeah,
And that could run through your head for a while until you actually confront the person and be
mhm.
like,
I
yeah,
really didn't mean it that way, and the entire time the other person's like, what are you even talking
yeah.
about?
Or sometimes you really and truly didn't mean it in an offensive way,
Yeah,
but the person did get offended, and you're like, whoa, like, I'm sorry, like, I didn't mean it like that. Like,
yeah,
you know? So yeah, I don't know. It really depends on you really have to be careful of how you say things and the person you're saying it to.
mhm.
Yeah.
But going back to like a kid thing, like is do we learn filter in school? Like is that when it all starts? Like this is the school system the one that shapes us into who we're gonna be outside?
I believe so because we do spend majority of our time in school,
Mhm.
right? We wake up in the morning from we start going to school at 4 years old, right?
Is it? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, daycare or preschool. Is it
Yeah, like
preschool?
junior kindergarten here in Canada. I don't know if it's called that everywhere else. But we have junior kindergarten, senior kindergarten, then we go to grade 1.
I could have sworn I just went to preschool, then I went to kindergarten.
Well, that's how it is here in Ontario, right? But anyway, start at 4 years old and we spend a good part of our day there from like 8 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock,
Yeah,
right?
roughly.
That's a good part of our day. So a lot of us end up having to go to daycare after school because our parents are working, or we go to some sort of daycare, um, and we're hanging out with other kids, and there's adults telling us what we can and can't say, what we can and can't do, right?
Hmm.
So like as we're growing up, we're always being told like, don't do this, don't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that. And yeah, we just grow up some kids will listen, some won't.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't are going to be the, the more outspoken ones as they get older, right? It's just in them to be that way.
Yeah.
Whereas other kids, they will shy away from saying certain things and being their true selves, right?
Yeah, or they'll realize that what they're saying is wrong and you shouldn't hurt other people's feelings too. And then there's other people who just don't care and they're gonna do whatever makes them happy.
Yeah.
You know. So
But yeah, like I don't know, it's crazy though to really think about that we have to be someone we're not.
in public?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Who wants to get aired out on TikTok or whatever it is,
that's
right?
another thing.
And that's
too.
it is another thing. You want to be consciously aware because you never know who's recording you. But just on the internet in general, like I feel like if you say something, someone's recording you, you're gonna end up on the internet, and it just blows
And those
up.
type of videos, yeah, they go viral
They
real
do.
quick.
Yeah.
They go viral. And then yeah, you're aired out for being weird, for saying something you shouldn't have said.
Yeah,
or
being racist or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, and you never know who's recording you, never know what's going on. So you really have to be like consciously aware of what you say in public. And that's probably why a lot of people, just shy away from doing weird things, and the term weird, who really wants to be called weird, like in public or just to be thought of as being weird, you
Yeah.
know? Who really wants to be looked at as that? You want to be called like, oh no, I'm just being my true self.
Yeah,
oh, so
yeah,
your true self is weird. I guess I'm weird.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just what I mean by that is just like I I feel like we would be able to present ourselves in a better light and be I feel like we could almost be more successful in life if we didn't hold back.
oh, like that time. What was that time something? That movie there that we watched where the guy had to take like this pill and it made him use like a certain part of his brain.
Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless. But all that information over time was already in his brain. But it was almost like he thought he didn't know it. He believed he didn't know it, or he believed that it wasn't there. But it really truly, it wasn't that pill made him smarter. It was just made him use the information that he already knew how to use. So he wasn't really holding back.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was just able to shine. So yeah, you're right. I do think that if we were able to just accept yourself for being who you are, which is whatever you think you want to be, you are going to be able to be more successful, I think.
Yeah. A lot of successful people, like very successful people.
Like Kanye West.
Yeah, like he is just himself.
Mm-hmm.
He says kind of what he probably has a little filter, but majority of the time, like he's his authentic self, and he doesn't care what people think of him or will say about him, because he knows that he's doing him, and he's being himself, right? And I feel like
he's successful. Yeah. Well, he is very talented too. So he's like not even hiding back in his music anymore. He's just doing the things that he wants to do with love, and whether it's his fashion or his music, whatever it is, I feel like he's really himself. Yeah. And I kind of look up to Kanye in that sense. Like, how do I just accept that people are not going to like you for you? Regardless of what you do, people are always going to have something to say. So just don't concentrate on that. Just tunnel vision and find out what you want to do and pursue it. Yeah. So that's like kind of where he motivates me in that sense. Generally on this podcast, I really do think I am myself. I feel like it's you guys and then it's us too. I feel like it's us all together in this room.
And then Trumpet passed out on the couch over there.
Yeah. When we first started doing YouTube, and I'm talking about the vlogging. Yeah, the vlogging part of it years ago. I generally don't think I was myself at the time, because obviously if you've never picked up the camera and started walking around the mall or whatever with a camera, people are looking at you. And then you start acting different. You start feeling different. But even if you're not accustomed to looking at the camera or talking in general, it feels awkward. And it does portray to the camera, and then you guys see it and you're like, yeah, she looks a little awkward. She's not truly being herself on camera. That's kind of like how I felt. I felt like
Yeah.
we were, what is it, imposter syndrome? Is that the right term for that?
Honestly, I don't even know what that definition actually is.
Me either.
But
I've heard people talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's right. But I just felt like, we weren't being our true self on camera. I felt like we were holding, not being our true self, but I think we were holding back on our personality. Like if we said something, oh no, I don't like the way I looked, or I don't like the way I talked in that part of the vlog, delete it, But now as we got older and we've just come to a point, I think, of being like, well, let's just be ourselves and see where it takes us. Like if we're weird, or if we are boring that day, it's life. Like I don't think we need to hold back anymore on this podcast, and I feel like that's part of the reason why I genuinely do enjoy this podcast, and just filming in general right now on YouTube, because now I feel like I'm just being myself. I genuinely feel that way. I'm saying what I want to say, with filter sometimes, but I also feel like just my habits alone, the way I'm looking, the clothes I choose to wear, how I feel like sitting on the couch, I generally feel like we're all having a conversation together.
Yeah, no, I want to talk about what you just said of how like some podcasts, they might be a little bit boring, like the topic might be a little bit boring, right? But that's just life, and that's why I think our, I guess, slogan, you could call it, for this podcast, all of life's highs and lows, because I feel like social media really is a highlight reel for a lot of people, right?
Is it real?
And that's exactly it. Is that really their true life? Like I don't know. Because when we were originally vlogging years ago, right, we were always trying to find something to do and make it look like
we were having fun.
Yeah, like life was just always just fun.
Yeah.
And it was not actually like that. Like there was highs, but there was also lows.
Yeah, of us just sitting on this couch watching Netflix, or us reading a book or something, you know? So I feel like you're right.
No, and that's exactly it. Like there's going to be times where we will be doing stuff. There's going to be times where nothing is really happening and it's just very mundane, and we're just living life. And that is, I feel like a lot of people can actually relate to that, because that is how life is. It's not always going to be happy times. There's going to be sad times. There's going to be times where, you get angry at things.
I feel like I have to be myself now. Like as I get older, I just can't hide behind, the pictures, the editing and things like that. Like I have to literally I feel like we just literally have to let our personalities shine.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
I feel like it is draining too, being someone you're not.
Yeah. Or doing something you don't really generally enjoy just because there's maybe a paycheck behind it.
Yeah.
No,
it is very true. Like it is very draining and exhausting trying to pretend to be someone you're not and do things that aren't inspiring you in life. So I feel like being your authentic self, it is like a big weight off your shoulder.
It's just, there's no point. There really is no point of not being yourself anymore. I think it's important to be real, but society tells you that you have to be yourself, but to a limit.
But I think society has almost shaped us in a way where we're filtering too much, right? Like, yes, some things should be filtered, but in a sense, we need to be a little bit more authentic and real, because it does play into our mental health and to our success in life. I truly believe that when we are holding back in certain aspects, we're not able to reach our full potential.
I think also going to the full potential, I think it could be the fact that we're afraid, like we did the podcast on, are we afraid of success?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, we do know the work, we know how to do it, but it's like, are we afraid of what could come next if we get the job done properly, right? Like, what will be next?
Mhm.
Or what if I fail at the job? So I think there's a lot of ifs and a lot of worries in that part. And maybe that's why we're not really and truly could be our true selves, which will lead to success sometimes,
Mhm.
because of that.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think?
Mhm.
Do you think that society has gone a little bit too far in making us hold back from being our true selves? Or do you think filters are actually needed? Or, like, do you feel like you are your authentic self when you're in public, when you're at work, around friends, around family?
Mhm.
Or do you hold back? And do you feel like it has disrupted your life in a sense of reaching your full potential?
Mhm.
I personally feel like it does.
I think there's just limits.
Yeah.
There's a cap on how true you can
How
be.
real you can be.
Yeah, I think there is. There's a line, a fine
There is.
line.
It is a fine line, yes.
Yes, an imaginary line on how true, because or else society's gonna look at you like you're crazy.
Mm,
For saying something that
yeah.
may not agree with your standards or may not agree with society standards,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, there's an imaginary line that you can be your true self.
Up to a certain point.
Yes, up to that line.
Yeah.
And after that, you just gotta hold back.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I feel like that line is being pretty much, like, let's say 90% real. But
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of us, we've actually toned it down even further, and we're like less real than we actually should be, because we're scared of what people think, we're scared of the outcomes, and we're scared of being judged,
Hmm.
in a sense, when really and truly a lot of the time people really don't care, as long as you're not saying something offensive,
Yeah.
right? But I feel like that, like you were saying earlier, that fear of the outcome, the
Hmm.
fear of success, the fear of, judgment, that definitely does make us less real than we potentially could be.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, like this video. You could share this video if you want. And happy Sunday. And we'll
mhm.
see you guys in the next podcast.
Or you can click that link over there.
Oh, yeah. I was like, cheers. Done. or click that link. Yes.
For our previous videos.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Like, when we go into public, society almost makes us put on a mask and be someone we're not. Like, when we're out in public or when we're at work, like, we have to kind of